All right, good morning. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for this Ultimate Forms webinar. Today, we are going to be talking about how to build a great SharePoint dashboard. And this is something that we have presented in different fashions before, but it seems to be a very popular topic, so we're going to do it again today. I'm going to be taking a slightly different take on it, so you hopefully will hear something new and different for yourselves. Um, Before we get started, I'm just going to introduce myself real fast. My name is Phil Gould. I am a long-term communications and training professional, and this is important only in the sense that I'm not a developer. I'm not a hard tech person, and this is one of the points of using Infowise Ultimate Forms. You don't have to be a very technical person to do this. You just need to be a user. There's no code involved. Everything is super simple. I worked for Nike for 15 years. I was the global training for Nike technology. And that sounds more impressive than it was because very often the department for global training was quite small. But I left Nike in 2017. And while I was there, I did use Infowise. So I've been using Infowise for about 6 or 7 years now. And when I stopped working at Nike, I started writing courses on LinkedIn and doing other consulting work. And I actually did a course on LinkedIn Learning about using Infowise. The Infowise guys didn't know that I was going to do that, and they found out and they were very excited. They contacted me and asked me if I would be willing to help them with some of their training efforts. And I said, yes, absolutely. So that's why I'm here today. Um, Now, some ground rules for today's event. Use the chat or the question. Actually, use the questions to ask questions. There should be some other team members standing by and monitoring, so they should be able to answer questions as they occur. I will not be able to while I'm talking, but if we need to, we'll do some Q&A at the end of the presentation if there is time allowing. And I am recording this presentation right now, and this will be posted onto YouTube later today, and it will be announced on the Infowise Solutions website at the same time. And if you stick around, there's going to be a free giveaway. We got our little contest. We will be giving away an Infowise polo shirt, and unfortunately, we can only give that to you if you live in the United States because of postal regulations and customs laws. We can't ship outside the United States, but we'll be happy to do that with you. So, what is Infowise Ultimate Forms? For those of you who are not already customers and are curious about this, Infowise Ultimate Forms, best definition we've come up with yet, a suite of tools that provide easy, excuse me, let me move this, easy ways to develop end-to-end business solutions in SharePoint without using any, that's supposed to be any coding. We've got a typo there. Don't tell anybody. Um, it is people think, oh, Ultimate Forms, it's just forms. No, it's so much more than forms. And we're going to be showing a number of different things today. So as we who work with SharePoint know, SharePoint has a bit of a gap. They have more than one gap, but what we're going to talk about today is the fact that lists and libraries all look alike. In their native state, they all look the same and they're all really boring. And it's very difficult to give your user a compelling experience when all they have to look at is just a list of numbers and data and stuff. So we need to have ways to make this data more visually compelling. And the navigation that we have in SharePoint is often inadequate. You have to go in and fiddle with navigation to make things look right. I mean, if you rely on it to do it, automatically, it's just not going to work that well. And we need a better way of getting our users to the data that they need in an easy fashion. So what are we talking about doing here? We're talking about creating a dashboard, a place where more than one kind of information is available at one place, and there's easy routes to other information. Now, one temptation that a lot of people have is to try and cram too much into one place, which goes the other side from making it boring to making it too confusing to be useful. And by the way, thank you, Will, for this picture. I'm reusing your picture. Now, I have to make a distinction here, and this may be unnecessarily pedantic, but I want to make a distinction between a list and a library and a dashboard. Now, to me, a dashboard is a place where you combine information from multiple sources in one place. And, we think about creating dashboards as a way to sort of loop everything together, but that's where we get the dangerous thing about trying to put too much on a plate. So you have to be a little bit cautious about how much information you expose at one time. Now, lists and libraries, yes, they start out looking very boring, but there's a lot you can do at the list and library level to make your information much more visually compelling. And these are tools that that Ultimate Forms brings to SharePoint and gives you a lot of possibilities, a lot of opportunities. So let's start at the list and library level. Now, what do we want to do? So thing number one we can replace standard choice fields with Ultimate Forms color choice fields. And let me show you what I'm talking about here. I'm going to go over to I'm going to go over to SharePoint. And here we have a basic, boring SharePoint list, okay? Just plain information, just boring. However, what we can do, wherever you have a choice field, like these in progress, not started, these are choice selections, right? So Ultimate Forms has the ability to add in a color choice instead of just a choice field. And it's super easy to set up. Configure columns right down here. See, color choice. I'm not going to go through the whole thing right now because I've already got one done, but got this already set up here. So I'll pop back over to my site and I'll show you what this looks like when we've got that added in. And once again, I want to say this is super, super, super easy to do. I swapped out the choice field for a color choice field, and I'm able to put in these different icons that give people a much better indication of what is actually going on. This is a lot easier to look at than just a blank list. Now, in this one, I've also added in an indicator here, a status bar that's showing the budget health. And this is another Infowise thing. I'm comparing the actual budget with the budget spent to date, and I'm saying, if we're within 15% of the budget, then we're getting into yellow, and if we're over the budget, we've gone into red. Once again, very, very simple to do. We'll just pop back over to Infowise for a second, or excuse me, Ultimate Forms, and take a look at how we did that. And it is right here under Indicators. And here's my budget health. And all I needed to do was add in a progress bar that is looking at the spend to date. Starting value is 0. Goal value is budget. If we're over the goal, we're red. This is the kind of thing that takes moments to set up in Ultimate Forms, and yet it provides just a terrific amount of visibility to information that's going on. So that's these two indicators here. This is project status, and this is budget health. Now, I also added in some additional information about timeliness. So I've got a second batch of indicators here that show whether the project is on time or not and the days remaining. And I did get a little bit fancy because I didn't want projects that were complete to be showing as past due, because they had gone over the time. So I've got some extra stuff going in the background. Once again, using Ultimate Forms to using actions in Ultimate Forms to do some quick calculations for me. But this KPI button, days remaining, these are also controlled by the Infowise Ultimate Forms indicators. You've got 3 different kinds of indicators that you can do. You can do the status bar, as we showed already, the progress bar, but then also I can do a countdown, which takes me from whatever day I specify, and it'll give me, I can choose what color I want. I can do a count up or a count down. I can do both directions. I chose just to do down right here. And then also my KPI, if the project is less than 10 days due, it's great. It's green. If we're starting to get close to the end, it turns yellow. And if it's past the project end date and it is not complete, then it will show a red icon. So, as I say, all very, very simple to set this up. And here I've got all of the items that I put in together. Now, you have to admit that this is a much, much, much more compelling look of things than this. But putting all of that extra stuff in here was just a matter of me sitting down and figuring out what I wanted to show and then going into Ultimate Forms and setting up the indicators that I want. Yes, I did have to do a little bit of extra stuff to get the numbers that I wanted in the circumstances that I wanted them to be. But using Ultimate Forms actions, this is a very simple thing to do. I would say that this portion of setting all this stuff up took me probably an hour, maybe an hour and a half, because sometimes I make mistakes. But come on, how long would it take you to do something like this if you were trying to use JavaScript or something like that? So this is step number 1 when you are wanting to make your sites visually compelling. Before you start even thinking about dashboards where you're combining multiple experiences, start thinking about what you can do with just what you have. Now, other things that we can do with Ultimate Forms, aside from adding these indicators, this is a SharePoint function rather than a Ultimate Forms function, but I do want to talk about it really quick. You'll see that I've been jumping back and forth between different views where I've got different things shared. One of the views that you're definitely going to want to create is a My View. And this is something that is really simple to do using the view controls in SharePoint. You just set up a filter using the expression me, and it will show you only the things that you want. Now, using this, it's very possible to build out a complete My Page where you have my projects, my others, my documents. And this is a tool that a lot of different organizations use to be able to get their users to their information as quickly as possible. So that's just something that I wanted to share with you. It's not a bad idea to create different views of your information. This is, once again, just a simple view, but I've got it sorted and grouped by the project manager. And I've used this in other places as well, because don't forget, whenever you have a list or a library, and whenever you've created views, you have the opportunity to stage those in multiple places. And that's the next thing, the next way that we're going to explore about getting your information more visible and more dashboardy. You know, as I say, once you start combining information on pages from different sources or different ways of showing information, there I think you're talking about a dashboard. So here's my dashboard number one. And dashboard number one is projects by project manager. It's my project manager page. And I have added a couple of Infowise tools here. Infowise tool number one that I added is a graph, a chart, a pie chart. One of the great things about Infowise is that you can use it, you can create charts and graphs in SharePoint directly from SharePoint list information. There's no need to export information out to Tableau or Power BI and then import it back in. You can just use the information that is in your list. So this chart here is showing the mix of projects. We've got project manager information right there. And I've got a little filter that I built in. And this is another Infowise tool, or Ultimate Forms tool. See, when I put in a project manager name, it just shows me the mix of their projects. So nice, really nice dynamic control of information here that just adds a ton of value to your users. They can go in and immediately pull up information that they're looking for. And once again, I'm going to just show you real fast how easy is this to do. Let's go back to the list and go back into Ultimate Forms, and we'll scroll down to, app parts. And here's charts right here. And here is the chart that I built, current status mix. And this is a pie chart. And our data settings are, am I in the right one? No, I'm sorry. There we are. Status, which was a choice. So we've got our different colors, and I can assign the colors. I can pick the colors, whatever I want. Let's make this one a deeper blue. And then I'm just looking to get a mix of those. The display settings there, title settings there. You can get really fancy with this stuff and put in color backgrounds and change all your colors and change your fonts and all that other stuff. I didn't really think it was that necessary to do that because I really just wanted to be able to show what we were doing here. But you know, we add that in, and then the filter is also, as I said, an Infowise part. It's another Infowise part. Now, how did we build out the dash page? Well, guys, this is SharePoint 101 stuff. You know, we're in a page and we're just adding the web parts to put that in. So this is a list, and I've configured it to say that I always want the PM view to be showing. This is the filter app part. This is the chart app part. These are put in. I'm not going to put anything in here, but just to show you, I mean, this is the stuff. This is what you're looking at. Here's Infowise right there. Chart, calendar events, filters. And yes, in case anybody was going to ask this question, these things, you know, there's web parts and app parts for the modern experience, and yes, you can put lists into modern experience. You know, so all of that is also possible. Let's talk about a different scenario. I'll go to my dash page number 2. So on this one, I put in a calendar, and now this is once again an Infowise calendar part. configured off of the same list information. And I'm using the Gantt chart view, which I think is really helpful when you're looking at project dates, to be able to see start and end. You can see it in other views if you want, and click into here and you can get some detailed information on that. It'll take you directly to that information. I don't want to do that right this moment. I want to go back and look at this. Okay. So, once again, I've put the project list part on the page. I've put the calendar part on the page. And then on this page, I also put in a border, or excuse me, a banner. Now, some people are very fond of banners. Some people are not crazy about banners because they use up real estate. It's possible to do some very, very nice things to make your pages really pop using banners. I know Will Cooper, my colleague, is a huge fan of building up a banner library so that you can put things on pages really easily, so that you've got resources that you can use and reuse. The other option, of course, that you always have is to change the look of the page, to go in and change the theme of the page. But of course, we do have the dichotomy with themes right now where they show up really well in the classic experience, and the modern experience, they don't show up very well at all. So until SharePoint cleans that up a little bit, you're probably better off actually doing some manual inserting of pictures if you want. So once again, we have a very nice selection of information that's been laid out, and I've decided that for this page we want to see timeline information. So I've got projects, I've got timeline. Now, the other approach that I think is valuable is the thought of doing like a dashboard of dashboards, creating a page that has more than one set of information on it, or links to various sets of information. The stock home page in a SharePoint site, this one I actually took everything off of. So, there's not much there. Even on the modern experience pages, they've got some things laid out, but it's not very useful. It's not very compelling. But you can build quite easily a very nice dashboard page. And this one here, this is my dashboard of dashboards for this site. And all I've done here is I've used SharePoint's Promoted Links app, which if you're not familiar with, you definitely should get familiar with. And I've got 3 rows of promoted links. This is really nice because when you float over it, you get this really nice experience where information gets exposed. But I've even added a link direct to start a new project. And by the way, this is using Infowise's or Ultimate Forms' new form builder tool. This is, if you've used the old form builder, you know how simple it was. This new one is even simpler. This took me less than 5 minutes to put this form together. And it's not very fancy, admittedly. I've got some pretty basic stuff on here, but I was able to create tabs that very logically separated out my information. There's my color choice right there. My budget information. So really, really simple to use. And, that was a choice that I made on this dashboard page, was to take people directly to that form. I've also added in links to some of the more important pages that we had before, like this project manager page. Take people straight there. Now, there's other ways that you can do this dashboard page. I use the Promoted Links app because it's one that I particularly like. You can do this in multiple different ways. You can just insert a table on the page and do it that way. There are some other tools that will let you create tiles of different sizes and shapes. So there's plenty of opportunities to you for building something that will be aesthetically pleasing for you and useful for your audience. Now, once again, you really, really, really need to be thinking about, what's going to be useful for your audience. I mean, you never want to, oops, sorry, my mistake. Let's go back here. Sorry, guys, jumping around just a little bit. Let's go back here. So you absolutely must have some discussions with your users. You need to understand what information they need. You need to understand what data they have to get to and how that data needs to be displayed so it's going to be the most useful for them. But once you have an understanding of that, there are some great opportunities for you, such as using the Ultimate Forms color choice feature whenever you're building lists and libraries. Whenever you've got a color or a choice field, creating a color choice is a very, very useful way to do that. I'm actually going to go back into that one more time because I want to show you, I know I showed you a quick view of it, but I want to show you that you have some options there too, just to drive this message home for you. Let's go back in here. So whenever you are setting up a choice, which we did here with project status, so we can show this as an icon, or we can not show an icon and put in colors instead. And I probably didn't want to do that because now I won't have that saved, but you can colorize the fields rather than having an icon displaying. And you can apply that to the whole row, or you can apply it to just the item itself. So, using an icon, I think, is a great way of doing it. But if you want to just use a color for the field instead, you can do that too. I've actually got, let me just show you really fast. This is in another site, but in the demo site that we use frequently, we've got expense report, this right here. So, and notice this is in the modern experience here, but we've used the color choice again here to instead of showing an icon, we're using it to highlight or colorize the actual cell itself. So let's just get out of there, go back over to here, go back over to here, jumping around a little bit, but you guys are used to that, right? All right. So use that color choice, add indicators. As I did on the list that I had there were a few different possibilities for indicators. We were able to put in something that showed a timeline. We were able to show the budget health. We were able to do a countdown of how much time was remaining. All of those really help to make that information pop. Inserting filters, inserting charts, putting in calendars, all of those things like we saw on the two dashboard pages where we had sort of specialized information about certain things. Use those pages, create those web apps, create those views, stage like information together on a page, and then create your dashboard of dashboards so that you can take people easily to those pages where they can get the information that they're looking for quickly and easily. And then once again, create a banner library, create a tile library. Anytime that you're going to be reusing images, put them in an image library where you can get at them easily, where you can use them and reuse them, because none of us want to create extra work for ourselves. And if you've done the work to make something once, why do it to make it again? Oops, sorry. Yes, there are other things that you can do. If you want to get really, really fancy, yes, you can use CSS. Yes, you can create custom themes. Yes, you can do JavaScript. But why do you want to do all of that stuff when you can do things with Ultimate Forms? Ultimate Forms is so much easier to use. I cannot emphasize strongly enough that if I can do this, with really a pretty non-technical background. Some of you people out there are much, much more experienced and a heck of a lot smarter than I am. So I know some of the things that you can do are light years beyond what I can. But even with where I'm coming from, even just a super user, I can go in and create some very nice, very compelling, and I think very, very useful experiences for the users. And user experience is what it's all about. That's why we're making SharePoint sites, is for our users to get the information that they need. So, next steps. What do we need to do next? Well, for any of you who have not already done so, you need to go download the trial. Go to the Infowise Ultimate Forms, the Infowise Solutions website. We'll have the address up here in just a second. Download that free trial. If you're using Office 365, it's super easy. I've used both the on-prem and the O365 version. I have to say I'm really partial to O365, but they both work just fine. If you decide to purchase Ultimate Forms, unlimited support is included with that license, so you've always got somebody to help you if you get stuck. We do have a pre-recorded 2-hour Kickstart training that is included with the licensing. There is more in-depth training available to you. We have an all-day fundamentals course. We've got an all-day advanced training course. So we can help you learn these products well enough that you will be able to create wonderful solutions. Infowise Solutions is what it's all about. We've also got a build it session. Oh, I'm sorry. My mistake. The date on that is wrong. There is a session next week, I believe next Thursday. I will check my calendar really fast.
Hey, Phil.
Yes.
That's actually going to be at the end of July. So signups for that are just in the Infowise settings. That shows how to use the new form designer. So you can get info on our settings page for that.
Thank you, Will. So as Will says, go to the Infowise site. The dates and sign up for that is there, and it will be July. My mistake for the typo on the slide. And product demo. Yes, if you want a demo of the main features of Infowise, you can request that from the website, and either myself or will probably be the ones giving you that demonstration. You can contact me directly, you can contact sales, or you can go to the website and sign up, and people will be happy. People will be happy to give you your demonstration. And then there will be actually two webinars next month, because Will's going to do the Build It session, and then I'm going to do another webinar on a check-in, check-out experience, I believe. That is still not announced on the site, but it should be announced very shortly, and then you'll be able to sign up for that one as well. So it is now time for the giveaway. And what I want you guys to do is I want you to pick a number between 1 and 100 and enter that into the question box. And we've already got some people starting to put numbers in. I have a number picked in my head. The first person who hits the number gets it. And don't forget, you do have to be in the United States. Can't send it outside the United States. But please put your answer into the question box. And if there are some other things in there, I'm looking for numbers. I'm not answering these other questions right now. Hopefully these have been answered by other people. Okay, let's see. Don't see it yet. Don't see it yet. Don't see it yet. Don't see it yet. Gonna give you another 10 seconds. And then whoever gets close, whoever's the closest, if you haven't hit it on the nose, whoever's closest will be the winner. Oh, somebody put in pi. That's very funny. I should have specified whole number. Okay, let's see. Everybody stop. No more numbers. No more numbers. Let's see what we got. Okay, let me see. Let me see. Who is the closest? I didn't see my exact number, but I saw something very close. All right, so the winner is going to be, is there anything closer? Just a moment. Okay, we have Abhijit, and I can't see your last name because my screen has cut off. But you answered 90, and the magic number was 92. You are the closest person. Abhijit, if you would please send me a private chat with your mailing address and your shirt size. Send that to me, and I will pass it along to the proper people. And if you will do that, then we will get that shirt out to you. So everybody, I want to thank you all for attending today. I hope that this was valuable for you. I hope you were able to see some things that if you didn't already know about them, we're able to give you a way to think about things a little bit differently, so that you could use them for your sites, for your users, and thank you very much for being here. And as I said, this video will be posted online a little later today, and we will announce that on the website when that is available. So thank you all very much. I'm going to turn off my microphone, and I'll be online for just another minute or two while I clear some stuff up. And all the best to you. Bye-bye.